This is North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN.
Hall County schools closed tomorrow due to a water main break in front of Chastity High School. This event, coupled with some roads still posing hazardous conditions in parts of the county, has led to the decision to have schools remain closed for the students. Teachers and staff are to report at 10 a.m. Isn't it fitting, though, while continuing Game On, that we mentioned that the games are still on in Hall County? Improved road conditions, temperatures in the 50s. Tomorrow, high school sporting events scheduled for Friday and Saturday expected to proceed as scheduled. Game on! And every student in Hall County, go find a Chastity High School student and hug them. You know you want to. 35 minutes after 7 o'clock, folks, had the great opportunity today to speak with Michael Haynes, Hall of Fame cornerback for the NFL, played for the Patriots, played for the Raiders, had an interception in the Raiders Super Bowl win. Great guy. And when I called him earlier today, he mentioned that I had cut in on a conversation he was having with Dan Marino. Yes, that one. So, of course, my first question to Mr. Michael Haynes, who is up at the Super Bowl, was, what were you and Dan Marino talking about?
Oh, well, we're just catching up on old times and trying to see what's going on. We have a new board member that's the founder and CEO of Panera Bread that joined our Urology Care Foundation board. And so Dan is good friends with him. So we wanted, he basically said that he's a good man and a good guy to have on the board. So that's the highest praise you can get, as far as I'm concerned.
That's fantastic. I would like it if Dan Marino gave me that kind of praise as well. Nice segue into what you're involved in at the Super Bowl, and that's the Know Your Stats campaign. Tell our listeners a little bit about this.
Well, it's really the only reason I come to the Super Bowl, and this is to the disappointment to a lot of football fans, really. But it's the one time of the year when all the reporters, all the press, all the sports folks try to get to an event, and they're all under one roof for the most part. So I'll use that as an opportunity to talk about what we're trying to do, and that's just increase the awareness about prostate cancer, trying to encourage men to get out and talk to their doctors and get educated about this disease. I actually found out that I had this disease by attending a screening at the NFL Hall of Fame about 6 years ago. And the doctor there started giving me all these statistics that 1 in 6 men would be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. And when you compare that to 1 in 8 women who get breast cancer in their lifetime, I was really amazed that, I know everything, not everything, but I know what a breast is. I know what a breast does. I know what a symptom of breast cancer is. But I didn't know anything about the prostate, where it was located, or even a symptom of prostate cancer. And so the women have done such a good job of whenever I see the color pink, I immediately think of breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like that for men. And with our disease, we're going to with prostate cancer, which is more rampant. Most men have no idea that it's even out there, and I was no different from other men. So when they asked me to be the spokesperson, I said absolutely I'd do it. And there's 30,000 men are going to die this year, by the statistics anyway, from prostate cancer. And our goal is to bring that number radically down. And I think we can do that if we can encourage men to do the things necessary to find out they have prostate cancer in the early stages.
Michael, you achieved a level of success in your career at cornerback that young guys like a Richard Sherman, Desmond Trufant from our area, even Darrelle Revis are trying to achieve. Now, a lot has been made recently, and we have Sherman to thank for it, about the ego associated with the position. Does egomania play as big a part in the position as we're being led to believe?
Oh, absolutely. I was no different, really. They just didn't have microphones on my face, and asking people were not asking me, these tough questions. Definitely one of my goals, what I used to say to myself to help me practice and play to the best of my ability, is I viewed myself as the greatest corner to have ever played in the National Football League. This was as a rookie. And so whenever I didn't have a performance that was consistent with that, I would work my tail off to get stronger, faster, whatever I needed to do to make it more consistent. So I just never had anybody and asking me about this stuff. That anybody, and I wasn't the type of guy just go around talking about that. And so I'm not surprised. You absolutely have to have a lot of confidence in yourself to play on the corner, but really at any position in the National Football League. And Richard Sherman he said it, and a lot of guys are thinking it. So I think he's really a class guy. The way he's handled it, there's definitely consequences to everything you do. But I think he's shown that he's really a first-class guy the way he's dealt with it. I
couldn't agree with you more, Michael. I want to wrap up with this. Your quick take on the game. What's it going to take for the Broncos to win? What's it going to take for the Seahawks to win? And if you're willing, who you got winning?
Okay. I think for Denver to win, they're going to have to try and use those slot receivers, the guys who are off the ball a little bit. Use those guys a lot more in the early going, and also get throw passes. We're going to throw passes early, throw them to the running backs, and make the defensive backs, the corners, come up and have to make tackles. And then when they're tired of making those tackles on the slot receivers and the running backs coming out of the backfield on passes, that's when you loosen them up a little bit and you start throwing the ball all over the field. So I think that that the weather is okay. If it's like right now, I think the forecast is like the game will start probably in the 40s and the temperature will drop probably down in the 20s. I think that they'll be able to throw the ball effectively in that situation. One of the things everybody focuses on is Denver's offense. They would not have gotten to the Super Bowl if not for Denver's defense. The defense that really wins the game. It's the offense that gets all the attention. On the part of the Seahawks, it's just the reverse. Their defense is getting all the attention, but every defensive player, every defensive back especially, would tell you that a nightmare is a quarterback like Russell Wilson, who extends the play. You have coverage on your guy who was supposed to run a 15-yard in or 15-yard out or a button hook or a cross or whatever. When that quarterback gets in trouble, and now this guy can run any place he wants to run just to get open, that's a nightmare for a defensive back to cover. So, it's going to be a tough battle for both teams. I think that, Peyton Manning, we'll see that, he's a great passer. I think that'll be clear. And we're going to find out that Russell Wilson is a great runner and throwing on the run is what makes him so special. I think we're going to see those things. Expecting a great game, and everybody asks who do I think is going to win. I like both teams, and when I played, both those teams were in the AFC West. I used to play against those teams twice a season every year. But now that the Seattle Seahawks are in the NFC, it really opens the door for me to pick the Denver Broncos. And the only reason I'm picking them is because I played my whole career in the AFC, and I've always rooted for the AFC to beat the NFC, and that hasn't changed yet.
You are the first player I've spoken with who has actually made a pick. I'm so happy, Michael, that you actually picked a team to win the Super Bowl. That's fantastic. While still giving a diplomatic answer. I absolutely love it. Listen, I appreciate your time. I hope that you have a great time spreading the word about the Know Your Stats campaign. Have a great time at the Super Bowl, and get to catch up with Dan Marino some more. Thanks so much for being with me.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
What a wonderful guy he was, a wonderful interview, and I appreciate him taking time out earlier today to speak with me and giving a response to the question, who do you think will win? I like both teams. I want to hear that. Who do you think's going to win? Who do you want to win? Everybody wants someone to win. You can't tell me Eli Manning's going, go Seahawks! Woo! Let's go. Fire it up, Russell. Hope Richard Sherman knocks someone out. Let's go, Seahawks. Yay! That's not happening. I don't think less of players when they give definitive answers. When asked, who do you want to win, tell me.
Like the last season in the major leagues, Chipper Jones, when asked about who's going to win between the Dodgers and the Braves, he's a former Braves player, and he picked the Dodgers. And just everyone in Georgia about lost their minds about it.
He got ripped to shreds for that. I applauded him.
I respect him more just for having the audacity, to be honest.
I'm saying, yeah, right? And guess what? Who won? Anyway, I like it when people are forthright. And you can be forthright, you can be honest, you can tell the truth while still having some semblance of respect. and still being diplomatic and still, having some semblance of humility. You can tell the truth and be honest and not come off as a curmudgeon. I don't, and certainly Michael Haynes did not come off as one. Tomorrow on Game On, folks, we have a very condensed show because we've got to get you to Flowery Branch for our WDUN High School Games of the Week, Gainesville at Flowery Branch. And what we're hearing right now is all sporting events are still on for Friday and Saturday in Hall County, despite schools being closed to students tomorrow due to the water main break in front of Chestatee High School. But tomorrow on Game On, we'll have maybe a 12-minute show. I think it's something like that. And so we're going to bring you my interview with former Good Morning American, the former Good Morning American, the former Good Morning America meteorologist, current Weather Channel star, Sam Champion. He also makes a pick for the Super Bowl. And I talked to him today. He was gracious and kind and funny and everything you would expect from a co-host of the nation's top morning show. He was wonderful. Makes a pick for the Super Bowl, but does it in a bit of a sly way. He tried to be too nice. And didn't really appreciate my asking him what he thought about who would win the Super Bowl. But you know what? Am I ever probably going to talk to him again? Probably not. Let's be honest here. It's probably never going to happen. Hey, do you remember yesterday? Do you remember tomorrow? That sounds like the lyrics to a really bad 80s song. Or
the introductory line to a fantastic sci-fi novel.
All right. Do you remember tomorrow? Let's go in the Wayback Machine and try to remember tomorrow. No. Do you remember yesterday, listening audience, people out there in Game On land, that it was said, an argument was made right here on AM 550, FM 102.9, between the hours of 6:30 and 8, an argument was made, a point was made, that fans should not vote for all-star teams / accolades. Why? Because by and large, fans are ridiculous. They're a bit idiotic. They're homers. Being a fan, I can say that because I, too, fall into that category. But the argument was made that fans should not vote. And part of that argument was how well Atlanta's Paul Millsap is playing this season. Not one vote from a fan. Kobe Bryant, on the other hand, who's played all of 6 games this season and isn't in the top 40 in any statistical category, the leading vote getter for backcourt players in the Western Conference. Dwayne Wade, not in the top 40 in any statistical category, the leading vote getter for backcourt players in the Eastern Conference. Paul Millsap should be an all-star based on his statistics, based on how he's played. Just got word in while we were bringing you the Michael Haynes interview that Paul Millsap is an all-star. He was put in the all-star game by the coaches. You want to know why? Because he's deserving. Because he's had an all-star caliber season thus far. Paul Millsap, an Eastern Conference all-star. Who called it? I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting.
It was Katie B.
Oh, boom. Boom. That makes me, it thrills me for him because it's so unfair and ridiculous when players who are deserving don't get what they deserve because fans are idiots. I want to see Dwayne Wade. Why? He's horrible this year. Why? 6 years ago, I get it. Why? And it's just like the tweet about the changes to the chase for the cup. The tweet. Where's my tweet paper? Where are my tweets? The tweet from Brad Keselowski that said the cream will still rise. I like the changes. There's an emphasis on winning. The cream will still rise. And Brian said yesterday, if it's a fan game, they should have a say. No, they shouldn't, because the all-stars they want to see are still going to be all-stars. LeBron James is an all-star. You still going to get to see him. Kevin Durant is an all-star. You still going to get to see him. Blake Griffin is an all-star. You're still going to get to see him. Now, he's not as worthy an all-star as his teammate, DeAndre Jordan, who's leading the league in rebounding and field goal percentage, but he's still an all-star. Chris Paul, still an all-star. You're going to get to see him. And Kobe Bryant, when he plays, still an all-star. You're going to get to see. And even if he's not on the court at this game that you paid tickets to attend, he's still going to be on the sidelines somewhere. The cream still rises. So happy for Paul Millsap, so deserving. And kudos to the coaches for making up where fans lack. Kudos to the coaches for being practical, for understanding what it's all about. Absolutely, Paul Millsap is an all-star. And I wouldn't be surprised if the coaches for the Western Conference select DeAndre Jordan because he's an all-star too. All right, folks, small break here. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the Thursday edition of Game On. Come back and join us on WDUN.